Welcome to Wise Minds, Wild Hearts, the podcast for heart-led high achievers just like you, ready to take inspired action and achieve true alignment. If you're craving deeper influence, greater impact, and a life that genuinely lights you up, you're in the right place. I'm Kip Clark, former academic turned entrepreneur, transformational coach, elite athlete, and shameless fountain pen addict. Here, you'll learn how to leverage the beautiful wisdom of your years with the wild passion that drives you forward. Together, we'll break through those limiting beliefs, unlock the power of your subconscious mind, and create a life that aligns with your soul's desire. Ready to create the kind of impact you've always dreamed of? Let's do this. Welcome back. I'm Kip Clark, and I'm really glad you're here because today we're diving into one of the biggest obstacles that we high achievers face: time, or rather it's the belief that there's never enough of it. So if you're like me, where sometimes you feel like you're constantly racing against the clock, feeling like you're always behind, like that endless to-do list never goes away, this is an episode for you. Because we're going to unravel the particular mindset that fuels this notion of the scarcity of time. We'll explore why it happens, and I'll give you a couple of concrete tools to help you transform your relationship with time. Because how amazing would it feel if you could stop being reactive about all the demands on your time and instead start being proactive so that you really feel in control of your life? That's the goal for today. So let's get into it. Now, I want to start by acknowledging a universal truth about us high achievers. We've always got multiple things on the go at any moment, and they're usually not trivial things either. They're big, bold projects or ventures that have the potential for big, bold impact. And if we're really honest with ourselves, we wouldn't have it any other way. It's how we're wired, you and I, and we love the challenge. But it also means that at one time or another, most of us have experienced that sinking feeling when you look at the to-do list and wonder how in the world it's all going to get done. The pressure can really build up pretty high if we're not careful, and these demands on our time can leave us feeling completely burned out. There's some really fascinating research out of Princeton University that shows that when we frame our relationship with time around lack, so we're saying things like, I don't have enough time, I'm running out of time here, there's never enough time for everything, we create a kind of self-fulfilling prophecy. The more we focus on scarcity, the more scarcity we experience. So this is law of attraction stuff in action here. It's like putting on a pair of glasses that only let you see what you don't have and not what you do have. And in fact, studies have shown that people who are constantly talking about not having enough time end up feeling less in control of their lives overall. So even if it's just one area of our life where we're feeling that kind of time pinch, it's going to feel like everything is out of control. So it's no surprise this mindset can become a huge drain on our energy and our focus. But here's the thing. The notion that there isn't enough time is really not an objective reality. It's 100% a belief. Now, when you hear that, you may be thinking, okay, but why does it seem so true? And why do we hold on to this belief in the first place? Believe it or not, there are rewards, yes, rewards, to thinking that we don't have enough time. For one thing, it gives us a kind of sense of importance. Being busy, really busy all the time, can be a badge of honor in our society. It's a signal to others that we're in demand, that our time is valuable. But the cost of this it's immense. Over time, it leads to chronic stress, to burnout, and a life where we are constantly reacting to everything instead of proactively creating what we want. And honestly, I mean, who decided that being unsustainably busy over time is what's valued? That's what's important in our culture. Who decided that? Now, another reward we could have from being uber busy is that it lets us avoid deeper issues or problematic emotions. But this kind of avoidance very often leads to bigger problems down the road. So if there's something that needs your attention, but you're telling yourself, I don't have time to deal with it, I'm far too busy with these other things, when actually you don't want to have the conversation, or don't want to look into it, you don't want to deal with it, that's really being out of integrity. You're using time pressure as an excuse not to show up in a way that you need to, in a way that brings your leadership forward. So it's important in those circumstances to just, bite the bullet and face it and deal with it, because the sooner you deal with those problematic issues, obviously the sooner they're dealt with, but the less chance it's going to blow up even bigger down the road. Now, we can also feel as though we're really accomplishing a lot when we have this idea that, there's just never quite enough time for everything because we're so busy. We can convince ourselves that we're accomplishing so much here. But what I've noticed is when I stop and really look at all the things that are contributing to my sense of that really super busy kind of quote unquote productivity, many of the things are not actually as productive as I thought. They're things that are actually they're really a waste of my time, and they create the illusion of progress, the illusion of actually making some headway with something rather than genuine progress. So when we cling to this belief that there's never enough time, we actually rob ourselves of the freedom to choose how we spend our time. We can get stuck in a sort of cycle of busyness and reactivity without ever stopping to question if we're busy with the right things. And this is where your wild side can serve you a little bit. Imagine the freedom that comes from breaking out of this cycle. The idea that the hustle and grind are what's needed to get ahead. What if we just step away from that and instead choose to prioritize joy and connection and what truly matters over that endless busyness? Now, how do we actually shift our relationship with time? If you can relate to some of what I've been talking about here, then you're probably ready to make a shift. Stephen Covey famously said, the key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. Let me read that again. The key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. This is where the magic happens. This is where you start consciously to design your day, every day, around what matters to you rather than just reacting to everything. And let's be honest, this does require a little bit of courage because you'd be stepping outside the norm. You'd be rejecting the hustle culture that's so pervasive, leaving behind the familiar and choosing instead a path that aligns better with your values. So I wanted to give you a couple of specific tools you can use to start to change your relationship with time. And the first of these is a time audit. So this is actually a pretty simple process, and it goes like this. You simply track how you're spending your time for at least a week. 2 weeks is better. Just use a small notebook, some index cards. You can do voice recordings, whatever works for you. Just don't overthink this. Just simply list absolutely everything you're doing from the moment you wake up in the morning until your eyes close at night and you fall asleep. You're the only one who's going to see this list, so be completely honest with this audit. The more accurate you are with it, the more you're going to get out of it. So make note of everything you're doing, and especially make note of how long you spend doing it. So you may find you underestimate the times you spend on distractions, like doom scrolling on social media, and you may see that you overestimate the time you spend on meaningful activities. This can be a real eye-opening process. Once you see where your time is actually going, you can make more intentional choices. But the issue is we'll go along until we're really deliberate about looking at how we spend time. We can be functioning under an illusion that we're being highly productive because we're so busy. So doing a time audit really can help you get clarity around that. The second tool you can use is an energy audit. And you can do this simultaneously as you're doing your time audit, or you can do it afterwards. It's up to you. I'll put a link in the show notes for you to download this document, but it's a really simple one. You can do it on your own. You don't need the download necessarily. All you do is take a clean piece of paper, draw a line down the middle from the top of the page to the bottom. And on the left-hand side, you write the words, "What drains me?" What drains me? And then you write down everything from the conversations you have to specific work you're doing to all your relationships, the social media sites you visit, the tasks you do around your home, and so on and so on. Anything and everything that leaves you feeling worse than before and that drains your energy. This is really important. And you'll know because you'll feel it in your body. If you've spent the last hour and a half looking on social media sites, for example, and when you finally stop and you do a check, you do a kind of gut check, chances are you're feeling contracted, you're not feeling as good, you may feel a little down based on what you're looking and so on. So that's a really, really good sign that that's an energy drain. Even sometimes conversations you have with people, if there's specific people you know, and every time you see them, they're either really negative or they gossip about other people, or they don't really lift you up. They don't make you feel joyful. Those are people that you want to avoid because those people are also draining your energy. So it's looking at everything, all your interactions, all the things you're doing. What do you love? What really lights you up? What do you despise? What drains you? What leaves you feeling less happy afterwards? So obviously on the right-hand side of this page at the top, you'll write down what energizes me. And likewise, you put down everything, all the experiences, the people, the tasks, the conversations, the objects around you, etc. Everything, anything that makes you happy and really lights you up. And then once you've completed those two lists, and by the way, you may want to just keep this available for several days because things will come up that you'll have forgotten about. So as you go through your days, you can just be adding to one or the other list. And then once you've got a more or less complete list, then what you do is you take a look at what's on the left-hand side, those things, those activities, those people that drain you, and you consider where can you have less of that? Are there certain relationships that you need to let go of or even just step away from, even temporarily? Are there things that you're doing that drain your energy that someone else could be doing instead? So look for any way that you can offload the things that drain you, but obviously in a responsible way. You don't just want to avoid things because they drain you. If there's something that you are truly responsible for, you need to take care of it. But could there be someone else who could either help you or who could take over for you? And then, of course, on the other side of the page, the things that light you up, you want to do more of those things. So if there are certain people that really make you feel good, that make you feel energized, or things that you love to do, that you just feel expanded when you're doing them, do more of those. So this, again, is a tool that helps you be really clear about the people and the things, the activities that make you feel good and make you feel bad, and you adjust accordingly. Now, these tools, they're not just about becoming more efficient. They're about aligning your time with what makes you feel alive and what brings out that wild spark in you, and honoring at the same time all this wisdom you're gaining. Now, I want to leave you with one thought, and that is that time is one of your most valuable resources, but it's also one that you have much more control over than you think. So the belief that you don't have enough time is just that. It's just a belief. And like any belief, it can be changed. It takes a bit of intention. It takes maybe a few simple actions like those I've described here. And there are other things that you can do as well or instead. But it also takes a commitment to do and to be different from how you've been and what you've been doing up until now if time has been a big factor in your life. So when you shift your mindset, when you shift from scarcity to abundance, you take back control of your time, and you also start living a life that's more aligned with your values and your passions. So you ask yourself, do I want to feel empty or energized? Do I want to be reactive or proactive? How can I use time to best advantage rather than experiencing the relentless pressure of feeling that there's never enough time? Because believe me, once you start to shift away from a scarcity mindset around time and you start seeing all the ways you can actually control your time, you'll be amazed at the difference it will make in your life. All right, my friends, that's it for this episode. If this has been helpful to you, let me know. I love to hear about all the positive changes you're making in your life. And if there's someone you know who might benefit from hearing this message, share the love, my friend. All right, my friends, that's it for this episode. If this has been helpful to you, let me know. I love to hear about all the positive changes you're making in your life. And if there's someone you know who might benefit from hearing this message, please share the love, my friend. See you next time on Wise Minds, Wild Hearts.